Well, my background is both in biology and nursing, but I started in 1978, I think, working at a little hospital in rural Nebraska. And it's kind of a funny story about how I got the job. I was living on the East Coast. I got a master's in biology and then did not know what to do with that degree. I thought that maybe I would become a physician, uh, but I didn't have any kind of clinical background. So when my parents were moving from the East Coast to back to the Nebraska area, I decided I would go with them and see what life would be like in the Midwest. So I took my master's of biology resume into the little hospital, 46-bed hospital in rural Nebraska, and I said, I'd like to be a nurse's aide. And the director of nursing said, after looking at my resume, I have never hired anyone, Connie, with a master's to be a nurse's aide. Why do you want to do this? And I said, because I want to get healthcare experience. I want to find out what physicians do and what nurses do. And the only way to do so would be to work, quote, from the bottom up. And she said, okay, I will hire you and we're glad to have you. So I started in 78, I believe, as a nurse's aide. And for the first year, I was a nurse's aide working night shift, day shift, rotating, and mostly at a small hospital, I was working with RNs. And so the physicians would come across the street during the day shift most of the time. And so my interaction with them was relatively little. But I would see the nurses start the IVs and answer the questions and pass the meds and wash the newborns and do all of the things that I then learned how to do from the nurses. And there was an infection control nurse at the time. Her background was surgery, and she was nearing retirement, but she was not quite ready to retire. And at a small hospital, you get to know everybody. So she talked to me about how, as a surgical nurse, she understood aseptic technique, but she knew nothing about infectious diseases, public health, all of the background that IPs currently have. And so she said, I don't want to deal with Joint Commission. I'm afraid of Joint Commission. But what happened was she convinced me that if I became a nurse, I could take this role from her or from anybody. And with a biology background and a nursing background, this would be the perfect background for me. So what I did a year later was go to a accelerated nursing program in Omaha, Nebraska, and there weren't many at the time. Now there are a lot more with people with my background. And the same hospital hired me back again a year later. She had retired, and they said, guess what? You're a part time infection control nurse and a part time recovery room nurse. And I said, okay, great. So I had my foot in the door right away.